Like the classic plays and symphonies, Sam Snead doesn't belong to just one generation. His mark will be left on golf for an eternity. A winner of tournaments in 6 decades, a man who's had a hole-in-one with every club in the bag except the putter. He'll share his fondest memories and answer your questions tonight on Golf Talk Live. Hello, I'm Peter Kessler. Welcome to Golf Talk Live. To appreciate the longevity of Sam Snead's career, consider this. Before Jack Nicklaus was born in 1940, Sam had already won 22 events, more than the career totals of Faldo and Norman combined. In 1974, 34 years later at age 62, Sam Snead finished third in the PGA Championship behind Nicklaus and Trevino, Nicklaus then being at the height of his powers. He competed against Hogan and Nelson in their primes, and against Nicklaus and Palmer in theirs, and he did so with incredible success. Almost from the day he exploded out of the Virginia woods onto the national golf scene, Slammin Sammy Snead has been one of the most captivating figures in the game's history. A storybook background and a homespun personality, joined with his peerless shot-making and commanding physical presence to attract huge galleries wherever he has played for the past 60 years. In the entire history of sport, it is unlikely that any man has performed better longer than Sam Snead. He won his first PGA event in 1936, and his last 46 years later at the age of 70 in the first Legends of Golf tournament in 1982. Awesomely powerful from the tee and a masterful iron player, he also possessed a magical touch for all of golf's critical little shots. Great as his playing record is, Sam Snead will be remembered most vividly as the sweetest swinger of a golf club who ever lived. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you.
Great to have you here with us.
I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. You know, yesterday I was watching, I know you were too, the LA Open, and it reminded me of a couple of things. One, of course, your playoff with Hogan there in 50, right, when you birdied the last 2 holes to tie him.
Right.
And that was the first tournament he played after the accident, right?
Right.
Now, Hogan was a guy who didn't say much, but in the playoff, which was delayed a week, tell me a little bit about what happened on the 13th green and 14th tee that was very un-Hogan-like.
Well, I'm leading by that time, and I'm on the green on 14. And I look back, and Ben's still putting over on the 13th green, which is over 100 yards away. And I thought, well, if he's going to keep me waiting, he's crazy. And now I hit a 4-iron about 10 feet from the hole. The crowd, they just, whoa, they raised Sam Hill. And finally here comes Ben, and he swings his right leg a little bit. And he said, looked up and saw my ball 10 feet from the hole, and he said, "What's trouble, Sam? You in a hurry?" I said, "Sure shot, Ben."
Now that was unusual because he usually just said you're away to whoever he was playing with.
Well,
right?
He's a great player. I mean, there's nobody, I don't think Ben any better. But Ben, that's the way he lived. He said very little, and even I think he didn't have but a very few real close friends. Jimmy DeMeritt, I guess, was probably the closest to him any other player on the tour. They played together quite often.
Now, did that surprise you, though, Sam, because DeMeritt was so different than Hogan? DeMeritt was so outgoing. He was a nightclub singer in his spare time.
Well, they say opposite people get along better, and there couldn't be any two more opposite than those two.
Now, when you and Ben played in playoffs, you generally got the best of him. What do you attribute the quality of your game to when you took Ben on head-to-head?
Well, I felt that I could just raise up another notch or two because I knew I had to play well, and I knew he was going to play well because Ben, I think at the end started getting a little yicky with his putter. He didn't play any senior tournaments at all. But it wasn't the type guy that his mouth was working all the time and doing this and that and the other. He didn't say a word. Might say, I think you're away.
Now, there was a time when he did something in pantomime when he, on the 13th hole at Augusta in '54, you and he are in a playoff that Billy Joe Patton just missed out on.
Right. Well, I'm on the 14th tee, and I look back to see if Hogan was near as my shot, and he's still over on the other green, about 100 yards away, still putting. And I thought, well, he's not going to keep me waiting.
No, I'm thinking about, you know, when you were in the 13th fairway at Augusta National, and didn't Ben come up and take a little?
Right? You're speaking about Augusta.
At the Masters, sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd hit it around the corner, and Ben hit a little fade out, and there's no way he could get there in two. He walked, I don't know why, that's the first time I've ever seen him do that. Walked all the way up to look at my lie. And I thought, And he walked by, I said, Ben, I'm going for it.
Now, you know, most people probably don't know this, but you're 3 months younger than Ben Hogan, and 3 months older than Ben, and 3 months younger than Byron Nelson. You guys were all born within 6 months of each other. In 1974, and this is another thing I was thinking about watching the Open, you were playing with Dave Stockton, and on the 71st hole, there's a story that you made a comment to Stockton. Do you remember the story?
Oh, yes.
Tell me.
I thought that the fellows behind us were leading. I didn't know Stockton was in the lead because it didn't have any billboards where you could see how you stood. And I said to Dave, I said, you know, I buried the last 2 holes to catch Hogan. And Stockton thought I was giving him the needle. To this day, I think he thinks I was trying to give him a needle. I wouldn't have said that to him had I known that he was leading. But it almost worked, however. But on...
you both birdied 17.
Yeah, 17, he had a hole about a 7-footer, and it hit the hole, bam. If it had missed a hole, he's got a 15-footer left. But probably one of the best putters ever over here. And then on the 18th hole, he was way up on that, they call it Kurai grass or Kuri grass. And it was setting up like a sore thumb. And when he hit the wood shot, I thought it was going right. But instead, he hit a low running hook, and it rolled in there about 10 feet past the hole. Well, school's out. And then I put mine on the front part of the green to the right. I got it up and down, and boy, he poured that ball in the hole there like it was big as a basket.
Well, you were just starting then. You were a kid of 62 when that happened.
Yes.
We're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Golf Talk Live. Please call us at 1-800-842-9987. The phone lines are filled up because of the great popularity of Mr. Snead, but please give us a call and we'll try to get to him beginning next segment. Okay. They're going to show...
45 back to the bump.
Okay.
Just a little louder. Just a little louder.
A little louder?
Yeah.
We got to do it quickly, guys.
All right.
How much back? 30 back. Back up, guys. Back up. 20 back into the bump.
And it looks from here as if Snead has about a 20-foot putt, a tough downhill 20-footer. This may mean a playoff.
Ben, you couldn't stand a playoff?
He's addressing the ball. Here he goes. He made it! This means a playoff.
A playoff. I wish Sam had won.
So do I.
Ben didn't win the playoff. As I stood by on the 18th green and watched him go over to shake hands with Sam, I thought to myself, well, Ben gave it all he had, but he didn't win.
Now, this here's a flashback we just saw to 1950 when you and Ben were in the playoff that we discussed. Now, this before the croquet-style putting that you invented sometime later. Who put the kibosh on the croquet-style putting?
I'm sure it was Bob Jones.
How'd that happen?
I'd played around at Augusta. I came out with 68, and Bob said, that's a hell of a way to putt. I said, Bob, the rules state you must strike the ball with the head of the putter. You can't push it, shove it, rake it, or pool cue it. And I said, a lot of them don't look very well, don't look very happy or in good position there, the way they get the arms all up and whatnot. But I'm satisfied, personally, that he got to Joe Dye. Of course, too bad both of them are not here now. And said, hey, let's get rid of this. That's not golf. But it was golf for me.
You'd have never lost a tournament if they let you do that. We're going to take a quick call. We've got Ken from Florida. Question for Mr. Snead, Ken.
Good evening, Mr. Snead. I know you won your last PGA Tour event, 1965 at Greensboro. Joanne Carner has said she wants to beat that record, the oldest player to win a regular tour event. Do you know Joanne, and do you think she can do it?
I know Joanne very well. She's a very, very good player. I think probably might be the best lady golfer ever. Well, it's getting on that borderline. Matter of fact, I watched Joanne practice down at Pine Tree in Florida, and I noticed that she was finishing very low on her follow-through, and I had an idea what was the trouble, so I got behind her. I saw her left arm was outside of the line that she wanted the ball to go on. I said, Joanne, you got your left arm outside of the line that's making you finish low on your follow-through. Get it inside of the line on your backswing. Next tournament, she tied for the lead and lost in the playoff. So that means that she still has an outside chance.
We're going to take a call right now. We've got Becky from New York. Hello, Becky.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to say what an honor it is for me to be able to talk to a fellow Virginian, Mr. Snead.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you a question about what swing thoughts that you may have been carrying around with you all these years with regard to the way you hit the ball.
Well, actually, some matches you're a little tight or more tense than others that you relax. You must stay loose. I say loose as a goose, actually. And I ran into a key that I use all the time. When I set the club to the ball, I want to try to make that club come back exactly in the same spot in which I took it away from the ball. If you can do that, providing you have a good grip and top the backswing, you'll hit it straight every time.
We've got Chuck from Florida. Question for Mr. Snead, Chuck.
Yeah, Sam, nice to talk to you.
Hey, Chucky.
I wanted to ask you a question. I'm sitting with Jerry Rich, and having played over 2,000 rounds with you over the years, I just wanted to ask you, and I haven't played the other day with you, do you think there's any hope for either one of us?
Either one of you two?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, play and enjoy it, Chucky. It's just about that time.
Sam, what do you think the average golfer should pick up from watching your swing?
Well, actually, Tom Watson used to watch me practice. I learned, and I teach tempo. You swing the club and not try to bash it, you swing it. And so Tom, he'd watch me until I finished to get the rhythm. That's all it is. It's a matter of fact, if you swing the club a little more than you try to hit it, you'll find you'll hit it farther and straighter.
We're going to take a call now. We've got Clint from Arkansas. Clint, you got a question for Mr. Snead?
Yes, Mr. Snead. I've been putting side saddle for 35 years due to the yips. My question to you, sir, is sometimes my putts get bouncy. Where do you position the ball in relationship to your right toe?
Well, I never thought about that. I tried to get my eye right over the ball, and it's just off my right foot. And while that ball's bouncing, you're hitting the ball too high on the ball, or the bottom of the putter is up a little too high. You're not striking the ball solid.
Yeah, that reminds me of the putting advice that Walter Hagen gave to you in 1946 before you went over to St. Andrews. Tell us that story.
Jones said that I wasn't putting too well at that moment, but L.B. Isley from Wilson wanted me to go play. Said, "You're playing so well, I think you have a good chance." And when Hogan said, "Well, Sam Bo," he said, "I tell you, it's Bo." He calls everybody Bo. He said, "Hit the ball above the equator." I said, "You kidding?" But I changed. They wouldn't let me putt with my putter, which is center shafted putter, which is outlawed in England at the time. And I went in the shop and bought another putter. And I'm glad I did, because I putted much better with it anyway. And the caddy told me where they would place the flags. And I said, you got to be kidding. He said, "No, for 50 years they've been placing each round." Told me where they would be. I said, "Well, I don't think anybody can knock the flags out to where they're going to place them." And I thought, if I can play better from tee to green than these fellows, I got a good chance. And actually, I never drove the ball better in my life than I did over in that tournament. The 10th hole, par 4, drove it 3 out of 4 times, and the 12th the last 2 days. And that was there are two things in golf. If you can drive and putt, you're a winner. And I was putting pretty well. Wind was so strong on a 6-foot putt, dead level. If a wind was coming across, you'd play maybe a 6-inch break. There was no break there. So it was just as tough for them as it was for me, I think. And that's, I think, changing putters won me the tournament.
They had, made that Schenectady center-shafted putter illegal in 1910 when Walter J. Travis won their amateur using it, and they said, "Let's get rid of that."
Right.
Just like Jones got rid of your croquet style.
Yes. And then the backspin niblick guy went over there, and on the 16th hole, he played his third shot. It hit the green. They opened up for a ball to go through it, and it got a hold, and it come back up over this little mound, right up within a foot of the hole. I said, "Uh-oh, that's got to go."
That sounds like that whole square grooves thing again. We're going to take a short break, Sam. We'll be right back. If you're watching us, please call us at 1-800-842-9987. We're, of course, sitting with Sam Snead on Golf Talk Live.
Sam Snead had just come out of the West Virginia hills, and Sam Snead had just come out of the West Virginia hills, and 25 years ago he was playing in the U.S. Open Championship for the first time at the Oakland Hills Country Club near Detroit. Sam was burning up the course. When Snead curled in his final putt, he looked like the winner of the first Open he'd ever played. But behind Snead came a golfer who had become so discouraged at times that he had almost quit the game. At last, Dame Fortune smiled on Ralph Gouldall. With a closing round that stunned Snead and the gallery, he set a new tournament record of 281 and topped the title. It was the first of many crushing disappointments for Snead in the Open Championship, as Guldahl winds up with a pot of gold and a happy better half.
All right, let's have a quick chat about the Open. What do you think your biggest problem was that kept you from winning the Open 10 times?
Putting.
What about it?
If I could have shot 69 my last round, I would have won 9 U.S. Opens. That's how many chances I had at. And of course, after that, well, it looked like I might be the winner the first time I played.
Right.
Cruikshank and Armour. Cruikshank was in, and Armour says, "Bubby, you finally won the bloody championship." And so they go upstairs, they're getting drunk. And the guy came up and says, "Well, there's a guy out there still has a chance to catch or pass Bobby." Armour said, "Who's that?" He said, "A kid by the name of Snead. First time he played in the Open Championship?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Oh, he'll pop like a bloody melon." But I came in and beat Crookie a
Right.
shot. Now I got to wait on Goodall. It goes to show you how things work out. He is playing the 10th hole, missed a 10-footer, made a 10-footer for a bogey, made another 10-footer to next hole for a bogey. Then now he's even par. He must tie me with even par. Now he's playing some tough holes. And I don't think he hit after 2 holes, though. The par 5, he made 4 there. The par 3 almost had a hole in 1. Then he missed every green from there in and got up and down. And the guy said to me, says, "I cost you the Open." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "On the 15th hole, they said, 'Look out,' and I'm standing behind the green," says, and I start running down in the hard grass. And says, Goodall's ball came over, hit me in the heel, bounced back into the trap, and he got it up and down in 2. Well, I've always been more or less predestination. What's going to be is going to be. If I hadn't, I'd have been through a long, long time ago. Well, it's my chance. It's my time. I don't care who is, who I play, Nicklaus or Hogan or who. If I'm playing well, I think I can beat them. Well, that's the way I looked at it. And I said, well, I had a bad day today. I missed too many putts. But get them next week. So that's the philosophy I went by, and I'm glad it was.
We're going to take a call now, Sam. We've got Dan from Maryland with a question for you. Hello, Dan.
How you doing? It's great to get to talk to my hero, and it's great to have the Golf Channel finally. I wanted to ask you, me and my wife are from southern West Virginia down in the Fayette County area. Were you born in West Virginia or Virginia?
I used to get that all the time. They'd have big bets whether I'm in West Virginia or was I born in Virginia. I said, well, I've spent half my life in both places, so I think you have a tie. No, I was born in Virginia.
We got a call now from John. We've got a call from John. Are you with us?
Sam, I've been a long time fan of yours. I followed you and Johnny Bull in the 1952 Open in Dallas, and I've always admired your appearance as much as your swing. Where can I find one of those good-looking hats?
Well, I think you could find Dobbs have a lot of them. I think you could get one there.
You know, we were talking a little bit ago about 1974. In 1974, you finished second to Stockton at L.A., which was at Riviera, one of the great courses. They used to call it Hogan's Alley. He won the Open there. You finished third in the PGA, more interestingly, behind Nicklaus and Trevino. You're 62. At this point, Nelson's been retired 30 years. Ben hasn't really played since the late 50s. They're sitting at home watching television and watching you finish third. What do you think they were thinking about watching you?
Oh, I said, well, they've always said a whole lot of things about me I can't say on the tube.
You can because we're on cable, so go right ahead.
No, he said he's got arms on him like a monkey, and he can turn inside out. I was pretty flexible at that time, and still pretty flexible, but not as much so as I was. But I'd like to go back to that, find out where it went. Don't get old. That's my suggestion if you want to play good golf.
We've got another call. We've got Ben from Arkansas with a question for you, Sam. Go ahead.
Hello there, Sam.
Hi.
Yes, sir. That was my question. I wanted to know how did you maintain your flexibility? And I always heard you could stand up and kick the door. Can you show us that?
I'd like to, but not at this time. I won many $50 on kicking the top of the door.
Speaking of flexibility and touch, I want to know how, as a young man, you were able to catch trout with your bare hands out of a stream.
Well, it finally broke me from catching trout. If you'd have a trout in whole water under a rock, and you just touch him and just rub him on the belly, he'll stay right there. And then you work up to right behind the gill, and then you get hold of him. And this time I could not feel anything on this, but when I really grabbed it, it was a big water snake. So that stopped me from catching trout.
I think most people have trouble getting past that touching the belly part if we could ever get our hands on it. We got another call here. We've got Mathis from Missouri. Hello, Mathis.
I'd like to ask Mr. Snead what was how he could compare the golfers from back when he played to the golfers of today.
Well, of course, there are more better golfers today, but I don't think they're any better than, say, Hogan, Nelson, Middlecoff, Demerit. Oh, a lot of them that were good players. Some of the records are still standing. The equipment has improved quite a bit over the past few years, especially with the metal woods, which hit the ball a little bit further. And the balls are much better now. The greens are so much better. We used to putt. I wouldn't mind my open putting below the hole. The grain was so bad, it would break the ball up the hill.
We're with the sweetest swinger of a golf club that ever lived, Sam Snead. You'd like to talk with us? With him, call 1-800-842-9987. We'll be right back.
You know, Sam has been, over a long period of time, has been actually the best. You know, Sam has been, over a long period of time, has been actually the best player of this. It's amazing how well he can still hit the ball, how well he, at Augusta each year when they have Gene Sayers and Sam Snead and myself tee off. We don't play, we just try to get the ball off the tee. And Sayers is 90, will be 93 in February. I'm 80, I will be 83 next Saturday, and Snead will be 83 in May. But I'm telling you, the boys were talking down there that when he winds up, has that great, beautiful, smooth pivot he has, he knocked the ball almost up the first hill. I got down the bottom of the hill, and Sarah got out there about 150 yards. But he's been a great player.
You know, this is the, of course, 50th anniversary of Byron's streak. You played in some of the tournaments that he played in that year and actually lost in a 36-hole playoff to him early on in the streak. What are your impressions, briefly, on his game at that time?
Well, Byron was one of the better players in the world, and I think he quit too soon. He quit when he was in his 30s, I think.
Sure.
And I think he could have won a lot more tournaments had he stayed on. I think it was fault of a guy out in San Francisco, Eddie Lowry. He said to Byron, Byron, you have done it all. Quit while you're ahead. He was thinking about Bob Jones,
Sure.
I think. But I think Byron quit a little too soon. That playoff in Charlotte, that was something. He had 2 clubs. He had something welded on the back of them. Came to this par 3 now. We're all even. And I thought he had 1 club, but he didn't. He had the other club. And he hit a 7-iron, and I thought he hit a 5-iron. And I said, well, gee, I'll hit a 6-iron. And I flew the green. I made bogey, and he made birdie.
Now, that's something that usually, you used to do that to people, though, a little bit, right?
Well, no, I didn't look in. Oh, I did look in one man's bag one time. And Willie McFarland. And I was watching his bag, and he saw me looking at him, so he takes a 4-iron out and plays to this par 3. And I'm, whatever. I took an 8-iron out. Why'd he use a 4-iron? I took an 8-iron out, and I put mine on the green. I said, Willie, why did you use a 4-iron there? Lottie, I just want to tell you something. Don't watch the other man's bag.
Yeah, former U.S. Open winner at the time, right? He
Right.
beat Jones in a playoff.
Yep.
We're going to take a call right now. We've got Richard from Alabama. Question for Mr.
Yes,
Snead?
Mr. Snead, how are you?
Fine.
I have a question for you. I was playing with a former tour player once that was playing with J.C. And J.C. hit a shot, and Alan looked down at him, and he said, what'd you hit, a sand wedge? And he said, J.C. turned and glared at him, and he said, my uncle never hit a sand wedge from the fairway. I just wondered if that was a true story.
Well, it's pretty much true. I will never use the sand iron unless I have to, because the sand iron is for sand and has a bounce on the back. Oftentimes, if you have a tight lie, it'll bounce the ball up the club up into the ball, and you're over the green. So I always relied on my pitching wedge more than I did a sand iron.
Even for those short little cut shots into the green?
Yes.
We got another call now. We've got Henry from New York. Hello, Henry.
Hi, Mr. Snead.
Hi.
My dad passed away a few years ago as an avid golfer and a great big fan of yours and talked about your game for years. I just wanted to ask you how often you play these days and how you enjoy the game.
Well, I play every time a pigeon lands. And there haven't been very many landing this year. You know what a pigeon is. That's one that you feast on a little bit as you go along. I don't think I've played over 15 rounds of golf this whole winter.
Let's go back to late 50s, early 60s. You played a lot of golf at that time with Arnold Palmer. What were your impressions of Arnold at the height of his powers at that time?
Well, I wouldn't watch Arnold swing or Ben Hogan. They were both, other than Arnold was a slicer. We call him a hitter. And, of course, Hogan changed his swing. I'd watch him dress the ball, and then I'd look down the fairway. Because a lot of times it intimidates you, and you do the same thing. You speed your swing up, or you try to do something funny. And I try to stay away from that. People like Jim Tenisa, I like to watch him swing. He has had a very slow, rhythmic swing. And I think everybody should try to get a little bit more rhythm into the golf swing.
We're going to take a call now. We've got Bart from Indiana. Question for Mr. Snead?
Yes, Mr. Snead. I was wondering who you felt was the most accurate ball striker that you've ever seen throughout your career.
Well, actually, I would take Nelson and Hogan. I thought Nelson was a better driver and a better long iron player, but I think Hogan might have been a better putter and also a little better round the green than Nelson.
We've got Jason with us from California. Hello, Jason.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Snead.
Hi.
I wanted to know what you think of Mac O'Grady and his teachings, because he uses your swing as the model for his teachings.
Well, actually, I don't know too much about Max. I've never seen him teach, so I wouldn't be able to tell you one way or the other.
We got another call from California. We've got Sam with us. Sam, go ahead.
Yes, Sam. You talk a lot about your balance and rhythm, tempo.
I know it's probably not something you were born with. You probably had to really work to develop it. Is it
That's
true
right.
you used to practice in bare feet to help get that balance? And could you talk a little bit about, everybody talks about your pivot through the ball. Is that all part of the rhythm balance that gets you square contact every time?
Well, when I was a kid, we played in cow pasture. Of course, you know, the cows will leave some of those things all over the ground. And I played barefooted then. And when we got out of school in May, I didn't put shoes back on until frost. And when you got in one of those cow chips, you had to rake it out or play it, use a stroke. So playing barefooted helped an awful lot. Fred Cochran, just give you an example. Fred Cochran was telling the media at Augusta that I could play barefooted, and they said, no way, you'd break your toes. So Fred Cochran came to me and says, look, you got to play a couple of holes for me, play blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, Freddie, this is Augusta. He said, it don't make any difference. They're making an ass out of me. And I said, well, finally I had to go. So I took my shoes off, buried the first hole, played 9, and rimmed out for birdie at 9. Now, you don't have to get on your toes. You pivot on the ball of your feet on the inside. And I never had any problem swinging.
We're going to take a short break, Sam. We're going to be right back. You're watching Golf Talk Live. We are, of course, visiting with Sam Snead. The phones are full, but if you'd like to give us a shot, we'd appreciate it. We're at 1-800-842-9987.
This man's consistently superb. This man's consistently superb golf performances have created a major sports legend. And of course, we all know his name, Sam Snead.
Hi, how's your golf game? Have you ever been in a predicament like this?
Trouble.
You see, now that's what happens when you don't hit golf balls for a long time.
That's right.
Tell me the story when you were down in Africa and you hadn't hit balls for a week or so. What did you use for a golf club and golf balls?
Well, actually, I was on the Safari, and 2 5-irons got on there. Somehow, I don't know.
Oh, sure. Shocked.
And so now, of course, we're out in the bush, and I'm playing this guy. So we didn't have any balls, so we used elephant dung. And I found out that the younger elephants were better than the older ones, because the young would chew it up better, and the old ones were longer. The stems in the dung. And I'd act like I'm going to hit it in an awful wallop, and I'd get right down, and I'd almost hesitate and then give it a flip.
I don't blame you.
And Of course, if we broke it, then you had to play the biggest piece.
We're going to take a call right. We've got Danny from California with us, Sam.
Yeah, first of all, how do you do, Mr. Snead?
Hi.
And I feel an honor to talk to you.
Thank you.
My question has two parts. One being the first one is, have you ever played golf against Mr. Venturi, Ken Venturi? And the second part would be, what is the best part of his game as a golfer? And I thank you for this.
Venturi was very good. Matter of fact, he was leading the Masters. And I'm playing with him the last round. And Ken told me that he'd made all of those short putts, and he started to miss a few on the backside. And people said to me, why didn't you help him? Why did you help him? I said, he didn't get there by me helping him. And I said, I wouldn't be playing with him if I didn't have a chance, so I got a chance also to win. But that was unfortunate. He just missed too many short putts, 6 feet, 7 feet. He missed too many of those, or he would have won.
Ended up losing by a shot to Jackie Burke.
Yes.
Right? 56.
Yes.
We're going to call right now. We've got John from Minnesota. Hello, John. Question for Mr. Snead?
Yes, Mr. Snead, it's my pleasure. I've been watching Shell's Wonderful World of Golf, and I've been watching DiVincenzo and Weisskopf, and even on one of your clips, noticing how everybody putted with strictly the wrists and no shoulder movement. I'm wondering if that's something that could come back, or if the green conditions have changed that. I'd sure like to hear your answer, and I thank you and the Golf Channel.
Well, actually, I've putted both. I was a wrist putter at one time, and I wish I had started to putt with my shoulders and arms more. Then you wouldn't get the yicks quite as fast, or wouldn't come up to you. I think you last a lot longer by putting with no wrist at all.
We're going to take another call. We've got David from Florida. Question for Mr. Snead.
Yes, hi, Sam.
Hi.
I just have heard you a couple times talk about the driver and how you only hit it maybe hard 2 or 3 times around, and then you only use about 80% of the strength that you would have to put into it. And most people seem to think you hit it hard all the time, especially when you're on a tour. Could you comment on that?
No, I never hit it as hard as I could hit it. I always saved a little. Of course, when I came to a par 5 hole, then then you could unleash a little bit more. By doing that, if you try to hit it hard as you can, you miss 2 or 3 drives, and then you're in trouble. And I've always taught that to play within yourself. You're much better. You hit it more solid, straighter, and further, I think.
We've got Josh with a question for you from Kentucky, Sam.
Hello, Mr. Snead.
Hi.
I was wondering who taught you how to have such a great swing.
How'd you get such a great swing?
Well, that came from using sticks that I'd cut off of a tree, and chestnuts were in at that time, and the shoots would come up, and they had just built just right. All you need is take a hatchet and just put a little loft on them. And so we didn't have any clubs at that, so I had to hit them with sticks. I caddied when I was 7 years old. So I got a good start in life, and I think we used to sneak out on the golf course, maybe a half a dozen of us, and have one club, of course, wooden shaft, and we'd chip for pennies and nickels. If somebody said this is for a dime, a lot of them fell by the wayside.
We're going to take a call right now. We've got Ron from Ohio. Question? Hello, Ron.
Mr. Snead?
Yes, sir.
I know you've always played Wilson equipment, and I've read that you use the same driver for many years, but I'm wondering if you changed your other clubs a lot, or did you stick with the same ones year after year? And I also wonder what you think of the modern high-tech equipment, and have you changed to that, or do you still continue to use traditional clubs?
I use the regular head on the irons. I somehow do not like the offset blade. I feel like I'm going to hook everything. So I'm an old fogey, I suppose, and I still think the straight blade is better.
We were talking a little bit ago about putting. I want to ask you 2 putting questions. One, should Tom Watson make some kind of a change? I mean, you have the best swing that anybody ever had. You weren't afraid to do anything it took to get the ball into the hole. What do you think Watson's problem is?
Well, I think Tom will go out fighting what he's got. I'm sure he's tried cross-handed. I'm sure he's tried several other things by himself maybe, but he don't seem to be able to go with that either. So it's too bad. I think he's playing better golf right now from tee to green than ever. It's too bad that he's missing those putts where before, can you imagine a man having averaged 25 putts for 3 straight years?
He did it.
That's 11 under par on the greens with a putter.
And to think that that's exactly the thing that's hurting him today.
That is exactly what's bothering him. He could win right now, right away if he was a good putter like he was.
We've got Brent from Florida with a question for you, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Sam, how you doing?
Great.
Yeah, I was going to, since it was cable, I was going to surprise you and ask you the most unusual place you signed an autograph, but I'm not going to have you ask that. I just really want to make a statement in general, is that, through the years I'd heard people say, oh, Sam Snead, he did this or he was nasty. I just want to say to the people, I've known Sam now for 5 years, and I've never seen him be anything but a perfect gentleman in every situation, socially, on the golf course, with people coming up asking for autographs and everything else. So I just want to say I think he's as much a champion as a man as he ever was with the golf club.
Thank you, Brent.
Hope to see you tomorrow, Sam.
Okay, pal.
Bye.
I mean, should we ask, where's the most unusual place you ever signed an autograph?
Well, a woman asked me to sign her thigh. And one, I'm looking down the valley, and she said, could I have your autograph? And I said, what do you want me to write? She got some write down. She pulled her bra down a little bit, and it took me a half hour to get the signature just right.
Well, sure, you wanted it to be perfect.
It was perfect.
I mean, this is not a time to make a mistake.
That's right.
Well, we're going to take a quick break now, Sam. We'll be right back. You're watching Golf Talk Live. We're, of course, with Sam Snead. Our number is 1-800-842-9987.
Colgate Lather, the shave cream of champions, presents that great professional golfer, Slammin Sammy. Colgate Lather, the shave cream of champions, presents that great professional golfer, Slammin Sammy Snead.
Hello. Looking for a real shaving satisfaction? I found it in Colgate Lather shaving cream. And those smooth million bubble shaves, here's why.
Hey, Joe, we want to take a look at your beard. Now put on some of that million bubble Colgate Lather shaving cream. Here it comes, and there it goes. Now watch that million bubble Colgate Lather shave set up that beard of yours or that clean cutting stroke of your razor. Notice how those hairs were cut off right at the skin, clean and fast and smooth.
Yes, sir. The shaves that really score with me are those quick, clean, close shaves I get with million bubble Colgate Lather shaving cream.
Well, now that you're doing these brand new commercials for Colgate, let me ask you what else is going on with you these days. Tell me what are you up to?
Not much. I've just had an operation. Of course, it's been 3 months now on my hand, and it's been a little problem. And I'm working with it, but it's slowly.
Now, you know, our biggest hangout, for those of us who work here at the Golf Channel, is Sam Snead's Tavern, which is right down the road from us. Tell us about your involvement in that.
Well, it started in Hot Springs, Virginia. my son and his wife wanted me to buy the old bank building. They built a new bank, and we had it remodeled a couple of times. And finally, people started coming in from the hotel eating there, and my son did the memorabilia there. And then he came down here and did the memorabilia here in Orlando, the Sam Snead Tavern there. And he's done a fantastic job. And now we are getting calls from every which way now and of course, with all the materials and stuff he puts in there, it takes a lot of time and effort to get it together.
You're going to open one in Atlanta now, yes, right?
Yes, northeast part of Atlanta.
Good luck with that.
Thanks.
We're going to take another call. We've got Sterling on the phone. Hello, Sterling.
How you doing, Mr. Snead?
Hi.
With you growing up in Virginia and all, of all the courses you played, in say the mountains of Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, which course besides the Hot Springs course would you most like to go back and play?
Well, the one I thought was my all-time great was Pinehurst number 2, but then the new group came in and they changed 3 holes, and I think practically ruined it. So it's not my number 1 at the moment. I play at a course at Hot Springs there where I was born and raised, the Upper Cascade course, which I mentioned one of my very best 10 courses that I've ever played. And my most sentimental course that I've won the Greenbrier Festival there 6 times, the old white course at Greenbrier. It's a great course. It's not what you'd call a big championship, only plays about 6,500, but it's a course that I've always enjoyed playing.
We're going to take a call now. We've got Jim from California. Hello, Jim.
Hi. I was just wondering, my putting's been lacking and preventing me from shooting good scores. What can you do to make the short putts? What kind of drill specifically, and all the other putts too, to be a good putter?
Well, you know, I tell you, a gambler said to me one day, he said, you know, if you go out and you putt 30 putts from 3 feet, then 40 putts from 4 feet, you'd be surprised at how much better your putting becomes. So try that. You can't lose.
We're going to take another call here. We've got Bill from Connecticut. Question for Mr. Snead.
Yes, Mr. Snead.
Yes, sir.
I believe it was in the 50s that you started a fishing company with Ted Williams. And
Right.
at that time, Mr. Williams indicated that he thought that a golf swing and a baseball swing were inconsistent with one another. Do you believe that Ted Williams was accurate?
Well, in a way, you know, you have a different swing, but actually at moment of contact, they're both exactly the same. You're on to your left side and you stay behind it and whatnot. And I told him, I said, look, baseball, if you foul it, you got another shot. But if I foul one, I got to go find it and play it.
We're going to take another call, Sam. We've got Jim from Virginia. Hello, Jim.
Yes, Sam, my question, I'm from Virginia, and we get down to play your courses there at the Homestead, and very fortunate to do that. I want you to tell me about the low round that you had down there on the lower Cascades, and what age were you when you had that? I believe it was the 60. You must have been putting pretty well that day.
Yes, even though I missed 2 or 3 short ones, I came to the 17th hole, 12 under par, and I had a 3-iron, and it hit about 2 feet, and it went by about 8 feet, but it's the worst green we have on the course, and I actually started the putt away from the hole up, so it just momentum, it would run down to the hole. And then I got to the 18th, and you had to hit an iron short of the creek, and then I took a 4-iron, and it was right at the hole, and I thought, hey, I might get it too. But I guess the Lord said, son, you've had enough. And I ended up with the 60.
You know, Sam, at one time, you were credited with having 135 course records. What do you think that number is now?
Oh, I'm sure a lot of them have gone under, but some of them still stand.
What's the best you ever played in a major and lost?
How was that now?
The best you ever played in a major golf tournament and didn't end up winning the golf tournament.
Well, you gave me a tough one there. I've come from behind, and then I've lost going the other way, too. right at the moment, I couldn't tell you.
What about the best you ever played and won?
Well, I think I was the first one to shoot 59. That was 19 and 59.
And that was a USGA sanctioned event, right?
Yes, with a score of 259. And I had 59 on the third round and 63 on the last round, which is in the book of Guinness records. The lowest 36 holes played it, the last 36 of 122.
When you think back on your career now, I mean, you've won 165 golf tournaments, 84 of them on the PGA Tour. You've won 3 of the 4 majors. You've won enough that you've won them 7 times. How important is it today that the U.S. Open didn't figure in the win total? How much does it hurt now?
Well, I think about it. There's nothing you can do about it. Yes. Matter of fact, they keep taking tournaments away from me. I've said, well, Jack Nicklaus is going to go by me, and he won't have to win another tournament. If we keep at it, it was 87 by the PGA, not the PGA Tour. But then I had that record before Beeman got in as the commissioner. And he and Joe Dye, they got together and started, well, it wasn't enough money. Well, just think, I've won the British Open 1936, cost me $2,000 to go play in it, and I won $600. And the last, in 1954, won the Masters, and that was a playoff with Hogan, and played 5 rounds to that, and got $3,500. So you see, they said, well, if you haven't won $11,000 first prize, I said, you can take all of mine.
Yeah, that's a nonsense. We'll talk about that some more. We're going to take a short break, Sam. We'll be right back with Sam Snead. You're watching Golf Talk Live. Please join us on Golf Talk Live next week when our guest will be Phil Mickelson, who along with Ernie Els is one of the 2 finest young players in the world today. Phil already at age 20. Please join us on Golf Talk Live next week when our guest will be Phil Mickelson, who along with Ernie Els is one of the 2 finest young players in the world today. Phil already at age 24 has won 5 PGA Tour events, one of which was earned while he was still an amateur in 1991. For those of you who have comments and questions about Golf Talk Live, we'd love to hear from you. Please write to us at the Golf Channel, 7580 Commerce Center Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32819. Sam, we've only got a minute or so left to chat. I'm going to ask you 2 fast questions.
Mm-hmm.
Your favorite golf course you ever played?
Well, I mentioned that Pinehurst number 2, but I've changed my mind since they changed 3 holes. But my favorite now would be the Upper Cascades, but the one that's so sentimental is the Greenbrier
Sure.
on the Old White course. I love that course. It's not what you'd call an open tournament. It's not quite long enough, but it takes care of itself with the greens. But that'd be my 2. If I had to play 2 golf courses, those would be the 2 I'd like.
What's your average score right now when you play golf?
Oh, I run from anywhere from, well, occasionally it's below 70, occasionally, up to 75, 76 if I have a bad day putting.
You're unbelievable. I just want to tell you what a great honor it's been
Thanks.
for us to have
Thanks
you
for
here
that.
tonight.
Thank you.
I mean, the great Sam Snead, winner of 7 major championships, 84 PGA tournaments. You and I could probably goose that number up to 90 if we worked on it a little bit.
A little more than that. If you want to
Good
get
luck
them all.
with the new opening. Best of luck with your health and the game.
Thanks.
Great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us on Golf Talk Live. Good night.